Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
All right, everybody, welcome to the August 14th Commission on Aging Well. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Everybody's had a chance to look them over. Is there a motion to approve or amend?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have no public appearances today or non-agenda items, so looks like we're gonna go into item number 4, which is discussion and approval of Hit it, Jill.
I'm still trying to pull it, but we're gonna talk about it. Did you all have a copy? Do you need another copy? Just
I
to look
do
at?
need another copy too.
Okay, thank you. I'll share mine with you.
Oh, you do have one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, thanks. Okay, so bringing this forward, because recently we've had an influx of animals coming in, just out of the blue. I can probably track where it started, but it got kind of out of hand really quickly. And trying to distinguish between what is a service animal versus an emotional support animal. Years ago, about in 2020 or 2022, I started to draft a pet policy when it was during COVID because other seniors were bringing theirs forward, and I thought, that's odd. So when this started to happen, I pulled this back out. And so in your packet, I shared some other information, but it's, it's concerning to have pets in the building when we're eating food, if, other people are around that don't like pets. And so I just wanted to bring this forward today to discuss and hopefully pass a policy that, that will offer the support that people need, but also keep the rest of our participants happy and safe and feel comfortable as well. So not all senior centers have a pet policy. I did a big poll around Dane County. Some do, but I kind of just want to get your input today. I know Janice experienced some dog barking during a lunch and learn, which was not appropriate and not comfortable. And so anyway, any let's start now. Go ahead.
Yeah, both the state and the ADA policy list the 2 questions that are permissible to ask.
Mm-hmm.
And just to be sure that inappropriate questions aren't asked, I would recommend that those 2 questions be put in the policy.
Okay.
To state what I think the language that they use is may ask only the following questions. You don't need to say under federal law and so on, but I think you could say that anybody who's encountering this pet is permitted to ask only those 2 questions.
I wrote down a couple of questions that I think they could ask.
What are the questions?
What are the 2 questions?
The 2 questions are, is the service animal required because of a disability?
Right.
What work or tasks has the animal been trained to perform?
You and I have been on the same site.
Yeah. Well, it's in what Jill sent us.
Yeah, I would say that should be.
But I would not, because of ADA, I wouldn't ask any more questions than that.
But I think, are you saying you'd like to see it put into the policy that a staff member may ask you these questions?
Those are the only two, they may ask those, but
Yes.
no other questions.
Yes.
You can't ask, is this a service animal? Is it a emotional support?
Sure.
You can't ask those questions. And some people who are very well versed in the ADA and want to, assert their rights may know that those are the only two questions you can ask. And so I think just to avoid any any discussion or anybody getting overwrought over the issue, I would be real clear that those are you don't have to ask anything. You don't have to ask those questions. But I think it needs to be clear that you can't quiz the person on, well, why aren't they wearing a jacket and why aren't they,
Just one thought. Might it be possible to embed that in the policy without embedding the two specific questions? My only thinking is, as ADA evolves their language, so if instead in the policy it read the ADA approved questions.
I think anybody that is going to be asking those questions needs to know the language.
And I agree with that as well. I mean, both can be true. That for the policy to keep it as generic as possible, to increase the longevity of the policy. So and your exact point that only the ADA approved questions may be asked. And at the same time, that whomever is staffing the front door or the entire staff to be educated on what are those ADA questions. And they may change a year from now.
I seriously doubt it, knowing the ADA.
Typically policies.
I would not doubt it just because of everything going on in administration right now. Once they close U.S. Department of Education, the responsibilities of ADA will go to the states. And because the states will be overwhelmed with this task and they probably won't get funding to do anything, including ADA, there may be some language change. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that is a strong possibility with everything going on with the Department of Education being dismantled, because they're already sending things to the state now to do. That was usually done by the federal.
But still to
Education Department.
embed language in the policy that addresses only ADA language or compliance with
I
ADA.
disagree. I think you have to be very clear for people who are going to be asking the questions. And if it is changed, then the policy can be amended. But when the ADA explicitly says these are the only two questions you can ask, I think it's important that people know what those two questions are and have that language. Because to have a policy that says only the ADA approved language, then you have to go look up, well, what is the ADA approved language?
Well, if it's in the policy, then they'd have to go look up the policy. I think that you're absolutely right. Whoever is poised to ask those questions, and maybe it's in print. I mean, maybe if this is a frequent occurrence, maybe it needs to be at the front desk, or maybe if you want to be even more proactive, to have a printed something with those two questions somewhere in that front entrance to stave off the questions and the poor person who happens to be at the front desk or the staff person that is on at the moment having to respond to those. But to make it clear, this is not unique to the senior center.
No.
I think that this is the same challenge. I think a number of entities are dealing with the same.
Charles?
Could there be signage?
There will be
That's what I
signage.
was describing.
Signage.
Right.
Like they have in grocery stores or drug stores, right there on the door that explains that. Yeah, guidelines.
Go ahead, Janice, you comment?
You know, I was just going to say, the more visible the policy is, the easier it'll get.
Right.
Because it has been out of control.
Yeah, and the signage, back to that, I mean, it probably will, it won't be, people won't read it if there's a lot of language in there, but it'll just be service animals only, or, you know, no dogs allowed with the exception of a service dog.
Certified or
yeah,
documented or
right.
some kind of clarification.
Right.
So I have been involved in a conversation that the person challenged that question. Said, I need my dog. Well,
oh, yeah, it's not an easy thing, because somebody just came to me this week and said, well, I did get my dog certified as a service animal. I went to the doctor, I got it approved, I did the 16-hour training, and now it's a service animal.
And you also have to get a letter from your psychologist. My dog is a service animal. So it's not an easy thing. There's things that they expect you to do to be able to get that certification.
So Vaughn, is that different than an emotional support animal?
It is.
Yeah.
Emotional support doesn't always mean you have the 16 hours training.
Okay.
Like you can, like a service dog can fly, because of ADA compliance, a service dog can fly for free. Service animal cannot, but a service animal you can rent an apartment without paying extra for a service animal. So it's
emotional support.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, for emotional support, it's really murky.
It's
but
very
the difference
murky.
is the training and certification. You have to be interviewed and by a psychologist in both instances. But a service is you're trained, and emotional, you're not trained.
Correct.
And the two questions now, is that information in what you sent us, Jill, or do I need to go to ADA's website to
No,
read?
I think it's included in the information I sent in the package, yeah.
Okay, good.
So there was a page from ADA, and there was also a page from the Wisconsin
It's in both of them, the same
legislator,
questions.
yeah. And then the question, you know, just for a different conversation is, you know, it's not just staff that can ask, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Probably anybody at lunch, if somebody has their dog, they can probably ask, right? I can't say, you know.
They don't know what to ask.
They don't know what to ask, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So on the
that creates another problem.
Right.
So
Yeah.
in the public facing piece of this, do we want the public to know in writing that they could be asked these two questions? You may be asked these two questions? Or
I think that would be the clear way to do it.
Yeah.
So people are aware.
don't be surprised, and this is
Right.
the language, don't be surprised if you come with your animal that you may be asked these two questions. So don't be surprised by that.
Right.
Alternatively, you could just have copies of the policy available to hand out.
Well, that's what I
With the
mean,
link,
in the public facing,
Or just give them.
Signage.
yeah,
Well,
The signage, but also copies.
So that give the
So two
individual
different
who's bringing
questions.
their dog a
That's a good
copy
idea.
of the.
These are the two questions
this is
that
the
you
two-
could be asked.
And this is our policy regarding, see, I don't think I would put emotional support in the,
Yeah,
in the
because that's
title. It's-
confusing. Yeah.
Because they're not allowed.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
only service animals.
Right.
I mean, it would be as
Yeah.
simple as,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
you may be asked, is this animal a service animal because of a disability, or what work or task has this animal been trained to perform? These are two questions you may be asked.
But there's nothing wrong with giving them the policy, which
No,
is,
I agree.
I think, a clear, it's a more formal way of informing people of, we have a policy on this, it's been approved by it's on the city letterhead, you know, this is the.
And it also has like the
The
handler's
handler's
responsibilities,
responsibilities.
which is, you know, is an issue too, because it was an issue that day when they were two service animals that were barking at each other.
Yeah.
And it clearly defines what a
Right.
service animal is.
Right, right.
Or
Yeah,
it's not.
definitely.
And you might, and it says that therapy or emotional support animals are not considered service animals.
Right.
So I think that's important. If anyone wants to dispute anything, give them, the policy states clearly what is and is not permitted.
Earlier, someone mentioned, and I can't remember who, you guys' faces are really fuzzy today. But it's not a clear picture. Maybe it's my thing. But,
No.
Earlier you mentioned about posting it, which I think is a great idea because they know before they walk in the door, but you want to be sure to post really clear, simple things. And then if they need more information, they can have the front desk can have a sheet, and maybe even the kitchen have a sheet to hand out to people to explain it in more detail.
Yeah.
But usually, like I said, when you go to stores, they'll say dogs are not allowed unless they are certified service dog animals.
Yeah, less is probably better at the front line, and then if you want a deeper dive, here.
Yeah, I wouldn't create a second handout. I would have a sign and a policy.
Yeah.
But the minute you start adding additional,
they'll stop reading.
The language changes, it muddies the water. So the policy is pretty easy to understand, and but signage, of course, and then copies of the policy to hand out.
I had a couple of things that we might consider adding to this, or at least being more direct, and that's under the handler's responsibilities. I think we should call out that the animal must be harnessed or leashed. That's not really specified there.
Yep.
It's a good point.
And the other piece of this, and this goes back to my healthcare days when this was also a topic of conversation. What we used to call limiting areas that we would consider a sterile environment. And of course in healthcare there's a lot of sterile environments, but here I'm thinking of the blood drive. Do we want animals in when there's a blood drive? Do we want animals in the kitchen?
No. Which lends to in the dining room, which is where they,
Well, I'm thinking of food preparation more than anything else.
Sure.
But
I mean, if the animal, the animal that we have coming now is a service dog and assisting somebody with a medical condition.
I don't know. Do
but
we
the
want
individual eats every day.
Do we want a dog at the blood drive? I mean.
Yeah. So we could add something, impermissible locations or something.
Where health regulations prohibit.
Yeah. Because
which hello.
Go ahead.
Yeah, which I absolutely agree, and Jill, you can share with him, but that was one of the issues. We received a complaint, and one of the things the person said they were, first of all, they're uncomfortable around dogs. Secondly, there's some allergies going on, but then a big deal was the sterile situation, the health situation, in terms of eating and having dogs at the same table with them. So that's real important to a lot of people. I understand the support dog issue, and that's important, but we also have to make sure that there's a balance for the people that are afraid of dogs, have allergies, and are concerned with health issues and sterile situations. So, Paul, I'm glad you brought that up because that is critical.
So I don't know where to go with that. When you consider, like you said, the kitchen when they're prepping food, the dining room, which is the issue. Not an issue, but that's where it's occurring right now because this individual is coming every day, and another individual too.
Jill?
Yeah.
Jill, I would be willing to work with someone. Maybe the two of us draft some official language and guidelines to bring back next month.
No, that's great.
Based on these conversations.
Yep.
I don't want to do it by myself, but I'd be more than welcome to do it with someone if someone's willing to work with me on that language.
Okay. I think as we kind of, come to an agreement too, back to the dining room, I don't think I can, and you guys said, yes or no, we can say because we're serving food, you cannot bring the dog in the dining room. I don't know if that is going to,
I don't think you can say that.
We could say that, but I was at a restaurant at Hilldale and I couldn't believe that a gentleman had a dog and brought it right in. They seated him And I was like, that is interesting.
Yeah.
That, a real public facility. So that's the difficulty. I think that, the handling of the pet, Janice, I think you know what I'm referring to, and people petting and then eating and then that kind of stuff. But is that an individual thing? Like, I don't care if my hands are dirty. It's my food I'm putting in my mouth. You know what I mean? Go ahead, Charles.
Right. But it's even beyond that. It's petting the dog and then going up there and getting the treats that's laid out for everybody.
Good point.
And they're touching. So it goes beyond just this is my plate of food.
Yeah.
We've got that whole tray of sweet things, cookies and donuts and stuff out there, and people are touching dogs and then going up there. So that's an issue.
Okay, that's a good point, Charles.
Okay, do we know whether or not Fitchburg, the city of Fitchburg, may already have some language?
I don't think they do. The library does.
Okay.
They're just like, no pets, no dogs unless a service animal. And I talked to Wendy, and she said, well, it's real cut and dry. Is this a service animal? They say yes. They say okay. That's it. That's all they do. But they don't have, the sterile environments and that kind of stuff to worry about.
Right.
They did have a woman that brought in a service animal that was being trained, that had an accident because it was being trained, and they cleaned it up. But otherwise, they haven't had a lot of issues, but they're real cut and dry. Like, there's an individual that brings dogs both places, and they're like, nope, the sign's on the door. Well, it's so hot. I gotta, I don't want my pet in the car. Sorry, don't bring your pet. Yeah. So it seems cut and dry there, where the issue of the food safety in the dining room is a little bit different and harder to handle, unless it's just really communicating with these handlers, and maybe it's something in there. If you are touching this, like you can't, like, you need to keep washing your hands. I'm not sure.
Well, and interesting.
Jill, you're getting into murky waters with saying service animals cannot come in the meal room.
Well, I can't. That's what I mean. I don't think I can say that.
I don't think that's what she's saying.
Right.
I can't say.
I don't think that's what she's saying, though, right? I don't think that's what she's saying. I think she's trying to figure how do we handle it? She's not. I don't think we're saying they can't.
I can't.
Right.
You could establish a
Did you actually look up the ADA regulations?
Oh yeah. They're in your packet, Vance.
It doesn't preclude the person from going up to that snack.
Well, I suppose you could, if you wanted to, you could have a separate section for people who have their dogs, but at the same time, you don't want the dogs to be too close together, because that's going to create more problems.
Right. But, I think it's also, Janice, my responsibility to talk to these individuals. There's hand sanitizer here. We have to ensure that every time anyone is touching this pet, if that's the case,
communal food is no different than, are you going to police the bathrooms and make certain that people are washing their hands after they use the facility?
Yeah, it gets hard, but that doesn't mean I can't have a real serious conversation with them. Like, this is concerning to some. This is what's been witnessed.
Yeah.
But to write that in here would be hard.
Yeah.
Well, the ADA language does state that a service animal must always be under the person's control.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. And I would add that sentence to the handler's responsibilities, and I would also bullet that list so that it's a little easier to understand.
Yeah.
And within that list, you could add something to the effect that the service, that the handler is responsible. It says here that they're responsible for the a waste or whatever. You could add hygiene. And that could be general enough that you could remind somebody that, you're in a public place and other people are eating food and you need to be aware, just a little tap on the shoulder kind of thing.
Because I think it's a good idea, like you guys recommended, every person that brings it in, they get a copy of the policy and they're really aware. And it leads to a nice conversation to say, here's some things I really want to, highlight with the situation here at the senior center, which is our dining center, and the hygiene that goes along with that. So that's a good idea. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that we want to do a little work in adding to this, and Vaughn and Jill are going to work on this and come back next month with something we can look at.
Lance, you good with that?
Yes, I am, ma'am.
Okay, all right. I will pull together all the notes I took, and then I'll reach out to you next week, maybe. Okay?
Sounds good.
Any other comments about the policy, suggestions?
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, the last few lines of the responsibilities and whether or not some of this is enforceable, like vaccination, whether or not it's housebroken, I could say yes to both of those as the owner. And then what is reasonable distance? So this language is very vague and we would need to make it more specific. To explain it further, or would we need?
You guys are getting to the weeds again. It's pretty clear about what you can, when it says public places of accommodation, they're not exempting restaurants or places that serve food.
Charles, can you give me an example of what you're thinking? Like when you say to make it more clear? Sorry.
Well, if you ask the owner, is your service animal, has it been vaccinated?
But those are the questions we can't ask.
You can't ask.
It's only those two questions. Because I think to be certified as a service animal, they have to meet that criteria.
Okay.
Now,
right.
Could the person be dishonest? Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, possibly. But that's beyond our control.
It's just hard to not get in the weeds, but I guess we should.
Right.
Well, here's something that might help you. In order to renew, every year I have to renew my certification with Miss Josie. One of the things I have to show is my license. So I have a Fitchburg dog license, and I have to show that she has certain vaccinations. It's rabies, distemper, and something else, and I can't think what that is. So I have to show the state that all of that is pertinent, and then my psychologist's letter that says, yes, she needs this before Miss Josie can be recertified. You see what I'm saying?
So that's interesting. They have to be certified every year.
Sorry. Yes. I meet with my psychologist via Zoom. And the catch is she has to be licensed in the state that you're asking for the service animal to be licensed in. So it's almost like Miss Josie has another license, I guess I would say. And in order for her to get that, you have to show these documentations, and that comes from the state.
But so to Charles's point, Vance, what are you saying? Are you saying share that information?
No, but I'm saying if the dog is legitimately certified, all of that is taken care of as far as the vaccinations and stuff. That's an automatic if the dog is certified. You can't ask those questions, but if the dog is certified, the state has asked those questions.
Right, but I get that part, but that doesn't mean. I mean, we would never know if somebody's certified or not, because we can't ask that question.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand those steps that have to go through the state, but becomes almost irrelevant to what we need to do with our policy. Nothing we could do about that.
So as a
no, but I don't think you can ask that question either, I guess is what I'm saying.
So as a first then approach or step in addressing the issue, then it sounds like there's consensus on signage of some sort.
Signage, yes.
Yes.
You have a handle on, and you've gotten some good feedback on that, and a clear policy that we can review and hopefully approve next month.
Yes.
And that would be available to share perhaps the first time a person presents with a service.
What I do want to go back to is I think we have differing opinions about including the questions or not.
I am the one who stated, I think for the longevity of the policy to step away from that kind of level of detail, that's not a hill I would die on. Okay. We can certainly come back and revisit another time.
Okay.
If that changes.
Other opinions?
And Jill, are you referring to the two questions that you can ask?
Yes.
Okay, because
yeah. So what are you saying, Janice? I should or should not include them in the policy?
I get both sides of that. I hear what Donna's saying, and I also hear what Barbara's saying. But to me, clarity is what we need, and transparency.
Yeah.
I think we need to share it. That's just my opinion. I instead of us trying to, have to come back later and try to explain it, whatever, just be transparent.
Well, I don't think a policy is that hard to amend.
But yeah,
and
just
if
keeping
the
up with
ADA
yeah.
policy is amended, then amend it.
And it could be wording that says, the current ADA questions are these. This is subject to change as ADA regulations might show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I would just,
it's not in here. It's very clear language in
Yeah.
both the federal or both the ADA and
Yeah.
the state policy.
Yeah.
And both of those would be amended if
Well, and I think also too
policies get
that
amended all the time.
handing these out to volunteers.
Yeah.
Some volunteers that might be at the front desk, certainly all the staff, so then they have a reference very quickly. This is it. This is all you can ask.
Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. So all in agreement to.
Sure.
Okay. All right. So good point. Good point.
anything else on the pet policy? Okay, Jill, we'll hear from you next week or next month on
Yep.
other
Vance, I'll
language.
reach out to you later.
Okay, report from the Friends.
Alrighty, primary item is our brat lunch, which is a week from tomorrow. Bring your appetites and $5. And,
What time is it?
11:30 to 1.
11:30? Okay, good.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, come early because last year we sold out.
Are you getting more?
Yes,
Okay, good.
and I think somebody might actually be getting the vegan brats.
I heard
for you.
that.
So-
Well, I know we have an alder that may show up, and they always request that, so thank you.
Alrighty. Otherwise, we've donated more than $650 for senior center activities in July. And coming down the line is a proposed travel show for November 5th. And you can see the newsletter for more details on that.
November 5th?
Yes, November 5th. And that's pretty much it.
Done. Okay. All right. Okay.
That's it?
Any questions for Jerry? Okay.
Okay.
Director's report.
Okay.
Or, excuse me, department outreach plan updates, which
let's do that
is kind
first.
of like that.
Yeah, let's do that first. Okay, so as we talked about with our working meetings and our outreach plan, that we would do a standing item on our agenda that would talk about touching base with everybody. I think at the last working meeting, we all agreed on some assignments and took on these roles. And so I think it's good to stay on task and talk to everybody about what those roles were and just get updates. And then Donna, take notes and reports at the working meetings and here. So anyway, I think that, Paul, you did some, well, and maybe we regroup because I don't think Donald was there and Vance too. Let's talk about what those roles, Paul's gonna do communication. So you go ahead and talk about any updates.
I have none at this point. I'm working with you on some of the presentations that you're doing with the listening sessions and reviewing those, and as needed, will help with any other communication or external or internal communication as needed.
Awesome. All right. Barb? No updates yet.
No, I haven't heard from Andy.
Yeah, Mandy is going to send Barb the calendar of all the ambassador events, and then Barb is gonna hopefully combine that with some outreach events that I'll share with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out the best way of doing that.
Yeah,
but
it shouldn't have to
sort
be
of
too
have to see
complicated.
the data first.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. Janice?
Well, as we shared with you guys at the last meeting, Jill and I were going to meet with some of the community leaders over in the Allied Drive area, and we did. We had scheduled for 4 of them, and 2 of them did show up, and they were from Dunn's March, and the neighborhood center and the wellness center. And it was interesting. They are actually seeking to do the same thing that we're trying to do, is to reach their older adults of color and get them engaged. It was interesting to learn that they're struggling as well in terms of getting them engaged. But one of the main things that they have as a barrier, as we do, is transportation. And so that's why, that was one of the reasons why they believe, those older adults can't come to the senior center because they don't have transportation. That was one. And so they are really seeking to have us come and do our programs over there. So, so we're both looking for the same things. But it was also interesting to hear them, as well as Alderman Maldonado shared with us, and Dakota's stats, should I say, is that there's more Hispanic older adults in that particular area than Black older adults. And so they're having a difficulty trying to get both of those segments of older adults to get involved. I think that we met with them, established a real good relationship with them, and will be ongoing. We'll continue to work with them. But the big thing is transportation all around, and not to mention the way it's zoned over there in terms of on one side of the street it's Madison, other side it might be Fitchburg. So they have a difficult time, getting people where they need to go. And we, in terms of our transportation, won't pick up Madison folks to bring them to Fitchburg. So I think that they are really interested in the programs and the services that we provide, but they would love to have us bring them to them versus coming. So we're just working with them in terms of trying to figure out what's the best way that we can work together and get some of those older adults over to the senior center so they can have a different environment and try some, different activities and what have you. So they're on board. They're excited about Fitchburg, but again, they have barriers and there's some challenges there. I don't know, Jill, if you want to add something to that conversation.
Yeah, so right before that meeting, I had reached out to Dane County about our transportation because of those borders and how difficult it is to say to one senior, well, you're on this side of the street, so you're good to get on the bus, and you're on this side. So, and I don't know if you can see this, Janice, but there's the Allied Drive, that drop down. That's what we're talking about. And so all of those streets, on one side or another, it gets really difficult, and it muddies the water because it's not only transportation, it's case management, and it's maybe home delivered meals. So we build a relationship with a client that lives in Madison by doing programming, and then they say, well, I really need a walker, or I need supportive home care. Oh, sorry, you have to go to Madison. So we want to step real lightly because I don't want to overpromise. So I reached out to Dane County because years ago they gave a waiver to our transportation to pick up folks at Southridge, which is on the corner of Post and Fish Hatchery. But it wasn't a Fitchburg location. And so because there was older adults and people with disabilities, and because they're up the street 1.5 miles, they gave us a waiver that we could pick up folks there and bring them for lunch, and they could use our transportation for shopping. So that was years ago. Since then, Southridge has changed a little. We don't have folks coming from there, but I reached out, all new staff at the county, and let them know we were able to do that before, and would they consider a pilot if we could figure out a designated location for people to walk across the street to Fitchburg and get on the bus. So the parking lot of the Boys and Girls Club is Madison. The Boys and Girls Club itself is Fitchburg. So if they stood in the doorway of the Boys and Girls Club, get on the bus. So I circled back with them yesterday. I said I would come back to them after we met with the community leaders, and they're supportive of the idea because we're all trying to do the same thing, which is serve older adults. And to make somebody across the street go all the way to the Madison Senior Center so anyway, I'm waiting to hear back if the transportation company can add this extra route on. Because what I don't want also, because it often is a complaint that I got on the bus and I was on there for an hour, and they're not supposed to be on there for more than an hour, which is why we have 2 buses now. So I'd like for them to just give me one more bus, maybe once a week as a pilot. We pick that day that people can start to come over for lunch, and it could just be a pickup in that Allied Drive area with a stop at the Boys and Girls Club. So anybody in Madison that lives a block or 2 away can walk over there. So I think they're open to the idea. They haven't gotten back to me about the transportation company. So that would be one way to possibly serve more people. So yeah, did I miss anything, Janice? I think so.
No, and that's good. I think it's ongoing. I mean, that was our first meeting with them, and then we have another one coming up. And Barb, we apologize for not giving you the date to be on your calendar. We'll get you the information for the next one. We'll get better at that because I think that calendar would be very helpful. But otherwise, no, Jill, I think that was pretty much it. Just wanted to give a real quick update on that responsibility.
Yep. All right, and then I know Charles is going to reach out to some churches. I got some stuff for you today.
Yes, I plan to go hopefully Sunday. My good friend Anthony Wade is pastor at Second Baptist Church.
Yeah.
Well, I got into the housing crisis and I filled out the survey, turned it in today. And I thought, well, maybe Sunday I could go there with these surveys. And it's really all about housing and not all the other things that we might be doing, but I thought that would be pretty easy if I could take surveys there, hang around, and deliver them back. So that's how I want to immediately start, but then to get my hands dirty now in other outreach efforts, I'm still thinking about it and willing to help in any way I can.
And then are you going to limit the surveys just to Fitchburg people?
Well, my mind is Fitchburg.
Yeah.
It looks like they need to be in Fitchburg.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so because I don't want to skew their results.
And I think the survey really does ask a lot of good questions, and I think that information can be helpful.
Yeah.
So I want to start Sunday with that.
So we can make some copies of that survey. They did extend the deadline to do the housing survey.
Yes.
Next Friday. So, there's a QR code. If you go on the city's website, scroll down a little bit, you can go right to the link, and they are really hoping more people fill out that survey. Yeah.
Question for you, Charles. Charles, you're going to work off of that list that we put together, those churches. I think there were 6 on there.
There was 6, and I'm going to take Mount Zion and Second Baptist.
Yeah, that's one. Okay, that's what you're starting with, you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other comments?
Anything else on outreach?
I think that's it. We
do. May I ask what the other 4 churches are? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Say it again, Vance.
May I ask what the other 4 churches are?
They're in the minutes, I believe.
Janice, do you remember?
Oh, I didn't see it. Okay.
Yeah. It was Mount Zion. It was Second Baptist. It was Solid Rock. It was Alex G. Church.
Right.
It was how many was that?
Is Alex G. Fountain of Life?
Fountain of Life in SS, and it was SS Morse. So yeah, that was those 6.
Okay.
And Vance, just so you understand why we're doing it, even though our outreach focus is on District 1 in Fitchburg, but we were talking about the fact that oftentimes as a Black individual, I may live on the west side, but I really am connected and like going to the church on the east side. So
for sure.
Exactly. So you may have some people out of District 1 who's going to SS Morse. Exactly.
Gotcha.
So that's I explain that to people.
Yeah,
and that's
that
why
makes total sense. I don't live in the area of my church anymore. I used to, but I don't.
Exactly.
So I gotcha. Just asking. Thank you.
Director's report?
Yeah, and just a reminder, next working meeting, August 27th, 3 to 5. I have been assigned to meet with the mayor for the budget from 3:30 to 3:45, so I'll see if I can switch that. Otherwise, I might just have to step out and step back in, but I'll let you know and send out a reminder for that. But thank you all for your work, and I think we're just getting rolling, but it feels really good, so thank you. So kind of on the line of housing, thanks to Janice, she got the consultants to come down to the senior center in July and get some feedback, and we had a great crowd, and I think that the consultants really heard the real struggles of a lot of people, and we had a really diverse crowd, which was nice, all income levels, all different kind of living situations, and so So thanks to all that attended, and I think it was really helpful for them to hear firsthand what older adults need as they're moving through life. Janice, anything to add?
No, I just think that sometimes we discount what seniors, older adults have to say, but I think they've got a lot of really good pertinent information that they can work with.
Yeah. So thank you for organizing that. As Paul mentioned, Janice and I are going to go, and hopefully the rest of you are invited to go to listening session 1 tonight from 6 to 8. That location just escapes me every time, but I'll send the information. Presenting is myself and the fire chief. The mayor will be there, and the 2 alders from District 1, which is Joe Maldonado and Dave Herbst. So hoping for a good crowd, but a nice opportunity to build awareness, which is part of our plan. So I got myself on the agenda and have just a quick PowerPoint that I shared with Paul. So that is tonight. Social work intern starts September 3rd. So kind of getting things ready for that. We started free computer classes through DaneNet. I think we distributed 7 free computers for folks that meet the criteria, and then they're eligible for these free classes. So the giveaway was last week, and then they had their first introductory class, and then the rest of the 3 classes are open to anyone. You can bring your own computer, you can bring the computer that was given to you. And so we had the 2nd class this week and really well received, so I'm glad to see that got off the ground. Janice's Lunch and Learn with the mayor was well attended, and that was the first Wednesday in August. She gave just an overview. Paul was there. Got any comments about that?
No, it was very good. Some good questions, very engaged audience, and I think everybody enjoyed the session and the whole concept.
Yeah, and the mayor was really grateful for the opportunity too. She had some hard questions sometimes, but I think she welcomed them and handled them pretty well. Any comments, Janice?
No, I thought it was well attended, and I thought they had some really good questions. As I said to the mayor, you can chalk that up to one of your largest listening sessions because it really was. Because it was really good. I mean, and there were questions from A to Z, from housing to wheel tax to you name it. They had really, really good questions, and I thought that was very beneficial, not just for the seniors, but for the mayor as well, to hear what they're concerned about.
Yeah,
and as I said to them in introducing the mayor, I said, we've got a mayor that doesn't sit in her office and wait for you to come to her. She brings it to you, and so that's what she does. She comes to them, and it was great. I thought people appreciated it.
Yeah, and then next Wednesday is Dine with Your Alders. So I'd love to have each of you guys there. We have representation, and the Friends too. I think I sent that out or expressed that to the Friends. So we do have representation from every district. We will put an alder at a table and let people know, what district that is. And right now, it's pretty good. We got the majority, 12 people signed up just for District 2, which is really nice. But we do have representation from every district, a little bit less than the other ones. So come on over, sign up for lunch. You can have a chicken Caesar salad that day, or you can have spaghetti and meatballs. So let them know when you come. But so looking forward to that. I think that engagement, a lot of people don't even know who their alders are. It's just a really nice opportunity, a casual way to express your thoughts, concerns, and for the alders too, to really see what goes on at the center and hear from their constituents. So
yeah. I think for this particular lunch and learn, I mean, I try to do each year. Last year I had the alders come and they did a presentation and, talked about themselves and about their area. This time I really want them to have an opportunity to get to sit down and talk with, some of their senior constituents within their district. And so it's a beneficial thing for both parties. And I think it'll be good. And as Joe's indicated, there's going to be more, seniors in specific districts and that's in others. However, it doesn't matter. It'll be valuable either way at each of those districts. And I'm looking forward to it. And I agree and support Jill saying I hope that you all will come and be there as well, because your constituents in those districts as well. And it would be helpful if you are there. Very helpful.
All right.
So that was August 20?
August 20th at noon. We start at noon, so yeah.
Next Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah. Just a couple other things. We're working on an event for National Senior Center Month, which is September 12th, which we always have music and food and beer and dancing, and so it will be outside, weather permitting, but it's a fun event. And then on the case management side, we're really seeing people struggle with mental health, cleaning, hoarding, homelessness, doing some work at the mobile home park, trying to help get people relocated. It's a hard time for a lot of people. And thanks to the Friends for supporting a lot of these folks that are struggling and don't have resources. There's not a lot of county resources out there anymore like there used to be, or the funds run out right away. So I don't see this changing. I only see it getting worse. So grateful to the Friends for their support. And yeah, so the caseworkers, again, like the complexity of the cases are so different than they used to be. But they're doing a great job. We got I think I sent you the email from that provider, I think from Wingra Clinic, just sharing some really positive comments about working with Katie. It just feels good when, you're out in the community doing good work and other organizations recognize it, so that was nice.
Jill, what are we planning for Senior Center Month?
The Red Hot Horn Dogs, it's on the patio. We're still locking down a food vendor, and the Lions will be doing the beverages, the Lions Club. So they'll be selling beverages. So that is it for my report. You guys all saw, I remember to include our monthly report that we have to submit to the city. So I will try to remember that every month. But it kind of gives you a little snapshot of what everybody's doing. It's not all inclusive, so so that's it.
So I've got a question, Jill, regarding tonight, the District 1, and which is our top district that we're working for outreach. Wasn't your expectation that we all attend this tonight?
Yes, I would love for everybody to come and listen and see who shows up and learn about that district. Yeah.
Okay.
I want you all there.
When and where?
Yeah, I'm going to send it when I get back. I'll send it. Yeah.
Anything else for Jill? Anything else on anyone's mind?
Put the next meeting.
Next meeting is September 11th. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.